You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, MoveWell University, Element Mattresses, MedZone, Vita Chiropractic, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, the Universal Traction System, and Vantage Point Marketing. Let's hustle. Hey guys, Jim Chester here at Chiro Hustle Podcast. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this is a student edition, and we're going to be talking about the life experience at life. And this is Heather Parks. She is a DC to be. And she has some really cool stuff she's going to share with you today. But I know she's really interested in kids. She's ninth quarter down there. And I'm just going to introduce our sponsor today, Dr. Barbara Eaton and her 56-day chiropractic boot camp. And if you guys want to know more about her or the program, reach out to Dr. Barb or myself or Heather. Heather will help you too. And welcome to the show, Heather.
Thanks for having me on today, Jim.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one because I think that you're going to give a really cool perspective on, being a chiropractic student, the woman's perspective, coming from a medical background, seeing your mom take care of kids and that whole thing. And let's just start out for the first question I'd like to ask all students. Why chiropractic? Why did you choose chiropractic?
So I definitely love to say that chiropractic chose me, but I knew I wanted to do something similar to what my mom did, but she did things very differently as a PT. So she's a pediatric physical therapist. She owned her own business and she didn't have a clinic. So she would go do house-to-house visits with a lot of special needs kids who really needed the therapies and everything. But growing up, that was what I thought of as PT. And I did not want to do that. I was like, no, thank you. But I kind of wanted to do something similar. So when I was in high school, probably about 10th grade, I just randomly decided in our career exploration class, I was going to be a chiropractor. And I'd never been adjusted, never been to a chiropractor, knew nothing about it. And from there, I went to SUNY Cortland, so I'm from upstate New York, and went to SUNY Cortland, and they had a 3+1 program with NYCC, so that was my plan. I was going to do the 3 years of undergrad at Cortland and do the last quarter and transfer some credits back so I could get my degree from Cortland and go to NYCC to start my career as a chiropractor. But during that time, I had an advisor who dealt with all the pre-chiropractic students. And he just randomly asked me one day, he's like, hey, are you still thinking about going to NYCC? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? It's 2 hours from my house. I signed the commitment already. I'm ready to go. And he's like, okay, well, I just had some other students who decided to look elsewhere. And truth be told, I had looked at no other schools. I didn't know anything about the philosophy of chiropractic or, I knew nothing. So he hooked me up with a girl who did an internship at a local chiropractor's office in the area. So I spoke with her and she's like, yeah, it was awesome. You should totally look into it. And I reached out to him. His name's Otto Janke. He practices in Cortland, New York, and met with him for the first time at a coffee shop downtown. And I remember telling him, I was like, I want to be a chiropractor focused on pregnancy. And I want to have a pregnancy clinic and I want to have my office there. I want to have a yoga studio that focuses on pregnancy. And I want to have, this whole little network of whoever for the pregnant moms to go to. And he's like, well, why don't you just go get your MBA? And I'm like, no, that's not the plan. I'm not supposed to do that. So he kind of challenged me and definitely made me dive deep into like, is this actually what I want to do? And I didn't know, but I didn't want him to tell me that I wasn't going to be a chiropractor. So I kind of started going to some of his doctor's reports, and he would stay after. We would talk about chiropractic, we would talk philosophy, and this was my internship. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'm getting credit for this with school. It's great. So eventually he does the whole day one process on me. I get x-rays taken. He shows me, how much care is going to cost and all this stuff. And I think it was before that I had been going there for so long. And I'm like, so when can I get adjusted? You've been talking to me about chiropractic for this long, and I didn't know if I was supposed to ask or if he was, so we went through the process, and then I saw my x-rays for the first time, saw that I had scoliosis in my spine that I never knew anything about, so it was really cool to see that. And I started under care right away. And, he ended up hiring me as a CA and just challenging me to look deeper into all these different areas and, what schools should I go to and all this stuff. He just made me look at the curriculum. Like, he would never tell me what to do because he knew I'm that kind of person that does not want to be told what to do. It's just like, I have to go through those processes myself. And, so found myself at the Life Leadership Weekend, and I absolutely loved it. So my mom had gone with me to NYCC, and she came down for the Life Leadership Weekend as well. And NYCC, when we visited, was like, okay, it's good. When we came to Life, it was like, wow, this is what I want to do. And my mom said to me, she's like, if I knew about this, 30 years ago, I would totally be on this path. Like, this is amazing. So it's just like really cool that I got those experiences out of it and was able to, develop myself. Like I said, I'm not a person that likes to be told what I should be doing. I'm very much a person who has to find that path, maybe the hard way sometimes. But anyways, I get to Life, and, I'm just so grateful that chiropractic found me and chose me. So that's why.
Well, it's a really impactful story because everybody comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And everybody gets a different life experience, and we express ourselves differently by, what we've experienced from being little to the point where we make the decision to do that next step in life. And that sounds like New York Chiropractic College was like, what you were supposed to do. And then you're like, no. I think that this whole thing and this influence of Dr. Otto really had a profound impact on you to be at Life right now. So when I talk to Life students, I like to talk about life at Life. What is life like down there?
It's like a beautiful haven of everyone's organic and everyone works out. Everyone's beautiful. Like, we've got good looking people at Life. Everyone's healthy, so it's definitely a little Chiro island of, not real life. So we get a little caught up in that sometimes. I think that a lot of people will try to stay out of, I'm making my own kombucha at home, and like, it definitely gets that way. But it's really great. I started the program. I wanted to do a full load. And after my third quarter, I think I failed one of my classes. So I'm like, I think I'm going to go modified now. So I took, from 28 credits down to 24 credits per quarter. So it's not like it's like that much of a difference, but it really made a difference in, my well-being and my mental state. I have gotten really involved throughout my process at Life, and I started that right away. And I think my philosophy on life is that you're never going to have as much free time as you do right now. So I would hear a lot of people say, I am not going to get involved till after 8th quarter when we take boards and have all those basic science classes out of the way. And I'm like, no, I want to get busy now and get used to being busy because I know that it's never going to be easier. So I got very involved right away, first quarter in school, started going to a lot of seminars. And, you know, one of my favorite things about being at Life University is that we have access to all those seminars because everything comes through Atlanta. We are really blessed to not have to travel far for those events. And, you know, it's always a stop for that. So, you know, if I was at MICC, who knows how far I would have had to travel to go to anything, and if I would have even considered traveling, you know. Mm-hmm. But other than that, life at Life is can be stressful, but you're around a lot of great people who have these great mental attitudes. So surrounding yourself with those people and becoming friends with them, you know, you get to that state too. You just elevate yourself constantly throughout that process. And I got to say that for me, I've only gotten, you know, better in that head state as time has gone by and learning every day.
Well, here's a pro tip for everybody out there after talking to you. And we've coined that little phraseology now, Life at Life. Somebody should start a podcast out there that's a chiropractic student down there, call it Life at Life, and start talking about all the different chiropractic students' experiences at your campus. Could be pretty cool. But yeah. I want to transition with you and talk more about your interests. And it's not just going to school. I know that one of the things that you want to do is take care of kids. Yeah. Why is chiropractic important for you, and why is it important for you to take care of kids with chiropractic?
So I'm going to go back to talking about my mom for a minute, because I think that this really has a big impact on, you know, why I'm answering the question I am. My mom has seen and done like absolutely incredible things with these kids that she's been working with. And I'd love to tell, you know, a little story about one of the girls who she's been working with her whole life. So she's actually my age. I think she's 1 year younger than me. So 22 years old now.
So if mom's watching, hey mom, and if you watch this on replay, just thank you for letting your daughter be on the path to become a doctor of chiropractic. I think she's going to change so many people's lives, and thank you for giving her this influence of taking care of kids. So stage is back to you, Heather. I just want to say hi to your
mom. So she started seeing this little girl when, you know, probably right from her birth. And I don't know exactly what her diagnosis was, but basically she worked with her whole life. And I just remember, like, we would hang out when we were younger and all these things. So I knew about her, and, you know, we were friends at the time. And I remember my mom telling me that she had the goal of walking across the stage at graduation. So she had been in crutches her whole life. I think eventually she started going to a wheelchair, and this was her goal, to walk across the stage for her graduation. And she worked very, very hard. You know, my mom saw her all the time with the PT visits and everything. And she did it. Like, she walked across the stage at graduation. And I was like, that made me so happy to hear that, because it's such a small thing, but it's not. It's such a big thing, you know. And I think about that all the time. And I know a little bit about her story in the background. And I know that she had some significant birth trauma when she was born. And it turned into a lawsuit and, you know, all this stuff. But I think about, like, you know, what if she had been checked, you know, right after her birth? What differences could that have made in her life? And not only walking across the stage at graduation, but what if she had that PT and that chiropractic care throughout her entire life? Like, what differences could that have made? You know, so I think about those things. And, you know, another little boy, she's telling me about, very hypertonic. So his muscles are always tight, and especially in his legs. He recently went down to New York City and got some of the nerves clipped in his legs that innervate the muscles. And, it's like they've been doing these things for years and years. They've been doing the therapies, and it's to let the muscles relax and all this stuff. But, we talk about tone in chiropractic is the main thing. And, he's hypertonic. What could we have done differently in that case that he didn't have to get his nerves, clipped into his legs? Who knows what differences that's going to make in his life. He's, I think, 4 or 5 years old right now. So I'm very passionate about, making that difference and being able to spread that message. It's just so important because I've seen this my whole life. And like I said, I was a little bit afraid of it when I was younger, coming and working with kids, especially kids with special needs. But I know that they need it. And who am I to say that I'm not that person to help that person? They need us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to work with kids, because they need it.
Yeah. And, for me to just interject for a moment, I think that when you find your passion, which I can see that you're holding back a tear from your actual, your emotion towards this type of, caregiving, and from the human experience of seeing that type of emotion in people and seeing the path of destruction that people get when they don't get proper chiropractic care from the early stages of life to the rest of their existence. I call it cradle to grave care. And I think that people should all get cradle to grave care from conception to the day that they're no longer with us, just because life is better expressed with no vertebral subluxation. And I think that people that are getting checked and adjusted regularly when necessary and getting the interference removed, hypertonic doesn't exist. And, limitations of matter don't exist, because the body can heal itself from inside out. And so many people out there watching probably know that, because this is a chiropractic centered conversation. Most of the audience that follows this conversation is the chiropractic world. But really the whole premise around what we're doing, Heather, is we are developing a message of chiropractic to live outside the four walls of chiropractic, because people obviously in your circle know, like, and trust you. So when you share this, you're going to bring in a whole nother group of people that just know you as Heather Parks, the chiropractic student that left New York, that's now down in Georgia. But now they're going to see this, and they're going to see the real passion behind why you want to do what you're going to do. And then maybe this will influence somebody to get their little one checked that might be having some challenges with their health, that needs to have some care, that might not know where to go or who to trust for that health concern that they're managing. So I think that just you sharing your ultimate expression of concern for this is something that more people are going to learn from. And maybe it might only be the one person learns from this, but that one person now doesn't get their nerves clipped. That one person might be able to walk across the stage easier because of chiropractic services in their life. So, we never know how far reaching something may go that you say today will have the impact on millions of lives tomorrow. And, just to paraphrase BJ, that's a powerful statement. And I'm just going to make a quick note here to Barbara Eaton. We were talking about what she's doing for the chiropractic profession offline, but she says, keep rocking, Heather Parks. Thank you for the sponsorship spotlight. Jim Chester, loving the Chiro Hustle, the student hustle, Chiro Hustle lives. And I think that, having the support from Barbara and now her reaching out to you on this live saying, just keep on going, keep rocking. I think it just says a lot to what she's doing for the profession and how she's sponsoring this episode. And then we had earlier on Dr. Ryan Bones. Way to go, Heather. He is the president of the Chiro Sushi Group, and they are also a flagship sponsor of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And I know that I couldn't do what I do without them helping what get this message out there. And I couldn't do it without amazing people like you, Heather, that have a story to tell, that maybe you don't get a spotlight from anyone else, but this might be, like I said earlier on my episode with Janice Hughes, maybe this is that one thing that gave you that confidence to take that stage in the future to tell your story and to talk about chiropractic, about, what do we always tell people to do? Tell the story.
Yep.
And that's what you're getting an opportunity to do now. Just like you said earlier, you talked to Jesse about his episode on the Chiro Hustle Student Edition, and what did he do? He didn't prepare, really. Like you said, he just said, just do what makes sense. Just talk. So I think that you're doing an amazing job just telling people about why you want to do what you want to do. And I think this is a proper time for us to talk a little bit about mentorship. Who has been some of your mentors as you've been going through the early stages of your chiropractic career, and how has that helped you make some of your decisions on how you want to practice?
All right. So definitely my first mentor in chiropractic was Dr. Otto Janke. Talked a little bit about him, but just want to give a shout out to him because he just really pushed me to question I left his office in tears sometimes because things he said, but it was never out of, I'm trying to be rude or mean. It's like, I want to have you grow as a person. And it really pushed me to greater levels. So definitely Dr. Otto, he needs a great shout out because he taught me everything, or, at least a huge portion of philosophy. And I don't know that I would have gotten involved with philosophy groups and wanting to do those different, like Cal Jam. I went there because of him, all these different things. But so thank you, Dr. Otto, for everything that he ever did for me. Another big mentor I've had is Dr. Tony Ebel with Epic Pediatrics. So Dr. Tony, I heard him the first time at a Life Vision seminar speaking with David Fletcher. So I heard their message and I'm like, wow, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I immediately went up to him after he got done off the stage. I'm like, how do I sign up? Like, I want what you have. So I did join the Epic Pediatric program, but he's had me up to the office many times now. And that's definitely one of my favorite offices in chiropractic. It's just so much fun, high energy, tons of kids. They call it organized chaos. So it's just really great energy there. And they're helping a lot of people too. So he's been great. The AMPed doctors have been a huge part of developing my business skills and my understanding in that. I've been involved with AMPed since second quarter, and I'm so happy that I decided to do that. I love their conferences that they have. It's just, you leave feeling so fired up and excited, and you learn so much. And as a student, we don't get that business perspective. Any of these docs will have you come into their office at any time to, basically make mistakes, but not on your behalf. You have, you're in their office, and, if you want to practice your day one or your doctor's report and stuff, if you're putting in the work, they're going to let you do it. And that's awesome to have that experience before you go in and have to do that when you have to pay the bills, So those have definitely been my biggest mentors, and AMPed is a huge group of docs. So I'm not even going to try to say all the doctors in there, but they've just all been really great. And a lot of the ICPA docs. So I haven't even talked about the ICPA at all, but I'm currently going through the certification series for that. And so many of those docs are just wealths of knowledge. Dr. Drew Rubin has been huge in my development of my passion and my why. I'd love to tell a quick story about something that happened in his office once. So for my certification with the AMPed program, we had to write down your why. And I think what I wrote was that my why is so that every child can look into their mother's eyes and tell them that they love them, because so many kids are nonverbal, can't make eye contact, don't know how to connect. There's just, the love is different. And especially as a mother or a father with a child with special needs, if you don't know how to connect with your child, then, it's just a further disconnect in your life from there. So I wrote that down on paper and submitted it. And then probably 2 weeks later, I was interning in his office one day, Dr. Drew's, and a mom came in like smiling one day. She was super happy. I'm like, what's going on? She told me that after her son's 6th adjustment in chiropractic, he was 3 years old, had regressive autism, and lost all his speech and anything like that. But after his 6th adjustment, he told her that he loved her. And I was just like, whoa, that is what I put out into the universe. And that's what I saw. And that was just reconfirming, yes, this is your why in chiropractic. And, this is your job. You got to get out there so you can start working with these kids who are just so disconnected from all their body, themselves, their families, their realities, all that stuff.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, MoveWell University, Element Mattresses, MedZone, Vita Chiropractic, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, the Universal Traction System, and Vantage Point Marketing. Let's hustle.
And honestly, I think what you're saying is, just from my perspective, again, there's record number of kids out there with special needs, and there's going to be more of a need for service to the special needs kid, and there's going to be more of a service needed to the family unit that has a special needs kid. And I think that eventually these special needs kids are going to turn into young adults, and then they're going to turn into teenagers, and then they're going to turn into adults. And if they have a clear nervous system going through that transition from disconnect, like you said, to a point of being more connected, it's going to have a lot to do with their development. Not only taking care of kids, because everybody wants to take care of babies and kids, I get it, but we get this group of people that have had like a disconnect or a deficiency within their life in their early stages of life. Now we're not developing, I hate to use the word broken, but broken people. And I think that when you start turning on the lights to people early on in life that have had some type of, something to make them not connected, and you start, reintroducing the proper nervous system flow into that body, it gives that person the ability to, I know we like to use the word thrive, but it gives them their ability to thrive again. Yeah. And it gives them that lasting chance of having some normalcy as they develop into a functioning, Absolutely. Speaking, somebody that has like their toolkits back, like they have their tools back. And I think that that's what you're saying, that you get to do on the early stages and then see that transfer on into the rest of the life.
Yeah. And I mean, not only is that a huge impact on that child themselves, but their families, those teachers, schools, students, like it's huge. You see the impact you can make is, mind blowing.
So let me switch gears just a little bit more with you, and let's talk about why it is so important for chiropractic students to get involved with groups within school and to be a part of a bigger family than just the collegiate family.
Yeah. So, I'll tell people all the time that if you don't have a background in chiropractic or an understanding of philosophy behind chiropractic, then not only that, but you also aren't involved outside of chiropractic or the school, you're going to have a really hard time in the program staying, on fire about chiropractic, because how could you? Like, We're constantly doing, right away, it's biochem, it's anatomy, it's physiology, it's all of these classes that are basic science, and we need that to be successful. However, it's not chiropractic. So right away, we're put into this intense program.
Such a great perspective.
And if they don't have their why, or they're not passionate about what they're doing, then it's so easy to give up. You don't want to face the battle anymore.
And it is chiropractic, but it isn't chiropractic. It's medically necessity for you guys to understand that part of the human physiology and the human components, but it's not taking care of people.
Right.
It's taking care of you to where you can take care of people. And
there is understanding behind why you're taking care of people.
But there is a huge disconnect
Yeah.
with you as a student. And sometimes you feel like downtrodden, I would assume, just because you're spending so much time becoming educated and you want to start taking care of people, but you're not taking care of people. You have to actually get yourself to a level of knowledge to be able to go take care of people. So going through that process, you can probably get a little lost in a program if you're not connected to some type of a source of chiropractic.
Yep. Definitely. And, I got involved. I went to Life Vision. I think it was the third week of my first quarter at Life. And I met a lot of docs who were taking care of pregnant women. So I started exploring that, because at that point that was still like, oh yeah, this is really what I want to do. And yes, it is still what I want to do. But I think I've dove in a little bit deeper past that and really got into the kids and everything. But it's because I made those connections at these different events that was even possible, for me to develop my why and really understand what it is that I'm here to do. I don't know that I would have stuck with it if I wasn't involved. It's been huge.
My first project for the chiropractic industry was a small documentary on Palmer rugby. And I learned about the history of Palmer rugby, and I learned the history of why chiropractic became so big around the world. And why it did is because they started a Palmer rugby team that brought athletes in from all around the world. And what they did is when they finished their programs, they sent these athletes back home to their countries of origin, where that's how chiropractic actually started seeding a global perspective.
Oh, wow.
So that's just a little history there for you. But it also reminds me of, if a lot of those guys said, hey man, if it wasn't for this rugby program and this brotherhood and this like togetherness that we were going to do this together, we might not have been able to finish our chiropractic program because it was so intense.
Right.
So they really told a lot of these guys, a lot of the old boys would be like, if it wasn't for like the group of ruggers that were going through this program together and this brotherhood that we had, chiropractic wouldn't be in my life today. So I think it's the same tribe mentality that you're talking about. If it's not for this AMPed group and this EPIC pediatric group and this ICPA group, if it's not for these groups, you can get a little lost on your way unless you have some connectivity and some togetherness and something to really, give you a purpose.
That's right. That's right.
And I know that we wanted to talk a little bit more on the topic of advice possibly that you had for other chiropractic student colleagues or people that might be getting into the chiropractic profession that just don't know what to do. Maybe you can shine a spotlight on some of these ideas that will help them. So,
as far as getting involved, I'll tell I'm seeing patients right now, and I'm in the student clinic, so I have a lot of younger quarter patients, and I love to tell them as they're starting to want to explore different techniques and things, it's really attractive to want to explore the techniques in chiropractic. But I think it's really important to get involved in a group first, because we know that every technique works in chiropractic. It's just, where are you coming from and what is the goal of your adjustment? And I think it's important that you get involved with people first, see what they're doing, what makes them so great, and then you can build yourself based off what your people are doing. So, I got involved with ICPA right away, and I saw that they were doing different tonal techniques. So that's how I kind of developed my adjusting techniques. But, I think it's really easy to get caught up in like, oh, I'm going to be a Gonstead doc, and you're going to buy all the equipment, and you're in fourth quarter, and then fifth quarter comes around and you learn something else. And you're like, oh, I don't know if Gonstead is really what I want to do, but you just spent, $4,000 or, however much on tables and, your nervoscope and all those different equipment supplies. So I think that it's important to get involved with groups and meet people that you resonate with first. So that's big.
So I know that that's super important to understand like your path through the whole process. And I just want to switch gears a little bit more with you and talk about some of the events that you've attended and how those have had an impact on you as well. I know we had a chance to meet each other at Mile High, so thank you for being my Chiro friend, and thank you for the conversation that we had there. And I just think that you're putting yourself into the right places. You said that you've gone to Cal Jam. You said that you've gone to sushi.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of your experiences and why you think it's important for Chiro students to get involved with these seminars. And you said you're kind of a seminar junkie at this point.
Yes. I love traveling. So to be able to travel, to go like with a purpose, gives me an excuse to travel. I've gone almost all over the country just because I'm going to different chiropractic events and out for screenings and stuff like that. Yeah, it's awesome. So, whether you want to travel or whether you want to learn and meet chiropractors or both, then it's a great...
Or student chiropractors.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually realized we met at Cal Jam.
Was it Cal Jam?
Yes, and then I saw you again at Mile High when we were there. But I think you walked up to me and you're like, "Hey, I'm Jim," and I'm like, "Hey," and you're like, "We're friends on Facebook." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and like we started kind of talking, and you gave me your DVD for the documentary, and I watched it on my way home from there. But it's just really cool that you get to meet different people like all over the country, and you might be connected with them already like on Facebook, but you actually meet them in real life, because I'm the one that, okay, you're a chiropractor, sure, I'll be your friend, whatever. Because I want to meet those people. But yeah, Cal Gym was awesome. Like all of them, I'm not even gonna list them all. Every event that I've gone to, I've met amazing docs there. I've made great connections, had great times with my friends. And you're able to do so as a student because you've got those weekends free. And you could play the student card. You get the seminar price for like so much cheaper than the doctors pay. And like, even if you just reach out and ask, I think a lot, I've never done it, but I know some people ask for a doc to pay for their flight, and they do. And it's like, great. So there's a lot of opportunity in the traveling and getting around to different places, because they just want you to be there and to hear those messages. I've learned so much at all these different seminars that, I couldn't even compare to what I'm learning in school.
Sure. Well, we just had a couple new people make comments onto our feed here, and one of them is Dr. Tom Potisk, and he runs the Gonstead Clinic in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. He's restoring the Mount Horeb Gonstead practice to its grandeur, and he says that the Gonstead Extravaganza is April 20th and 22nd up in Wisconsin. So that might be a gentle nudge for you to go to another seminar. And Jeff Arnell says, "May I suggest DE?" And I think, have you been to a DE?
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Jeff Heather has been to DE, and so what is your big takeaway from DE?
So DE, I got to go, and so it was pretty funny. I remember sitting there, we were doing the 49 breaths exercise, and I'm sitting next to a couple of my friends, and we're looking around, we're like, what is going on? But it was so cool to see so many people in there all connected in the way that we were, like even just through the breath, even through the energy in the room. You know, everyone there is just so on fire about chiropractic, and it was great to see that. You know, I mentioned that I had gone to Life Vision that first quarter of school. That was huge. Like, you know, I just ended up going to Life Vision at first because it was what was advertised at Life, you know, the politics behind that and everything. But, you know, so eventually I heard about DE, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go to DE and meet all these different docs, because it was a totally different group that I had never met before. So got to meet some docs there, and I haven't been to too many DEs. So I definitely want to go back and like do, you know, get to know those docs more. I think that as I started going with the ICPA seminars, they're like once a month, and so I couldn't get to all the DEs and everything. But you know, it's just awesome. We have so many great resources, and especially in Atlanta, where everything comes through. So
Yeah, we just had Jennifer Trent, one of your fellow life students down there, say yes, DE in Sarasota, April 19th and 21st through 21st. Students are only $75, hotel included.
Hotel included.
Come out and get some, she says. So
that's awesome.
there you go. You have an invite to another seminar, and
Perfect.
see what happens when we start putting the intention out there, what you're interested in. Things start coming to you at magnitudes. Now you have the opportunity to go to Gonstead Extravaganza up in Wisconsin. Now you have the opportunity of going to the Sarasota DE, and now you had a chance to tell people why DE was so awesome for you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we just kind of have these feelings and emotions and ideas that kind of get stuck in our own travel bag, and we just kind of carry them around with ourselves, and no one really knows like what our life experience is and what it has made an impact on us. And some of the things like the 49 breaths, I don't even know what that is. So you just taught me
It's
something.
an experience.
I think I need at least one good breath. So at this point in the game, in the interview process, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, I would like to say that if you are considering being a pediatric chiropractor or someone who adjusts kids, I just want to give a big shout out to the ICPA organization. It's an incredible organization, and I think that when you go that extra mile to take care of kids, you know, it's really something special. And I just encourage anyone that wants to take care of kids to do that, because they deserve it, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's my little input there.
Well, Dr. Tom Potisk up there in Wisconsin says student scholarships are available at Gonstead Extravaganza. Just go to www.gonstead.com.
Perfect.
So, I mean, the red carpet's out there for you, Heather. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I've had a lot of fun talking to you today. And I think that you've let people know a little bit about why you got into chiropractic, how you've become involved with it, some of your mentors that you've gone through learning from, and what the experience of life at Life is. And I think that you've shared a lot of good information of, you know, getting involved with student groups and how that keeps your momentum going through the tough early stages of your chiropractic studies that really aren't chiropractic, but they are chiropractic type ideas, and some of the cool seminars that you've been to, and how you can kind of marry your travel with your learned experience for the chiropractic philosophy, science, and art.
Awesome. It's been a great interview so far.
Yeah. And I guess at this point, I'll let you ask me anything that you want to.
Okay. So I guess I'd love to ask, as you've been doing these interview processes, what are some trends that you see docs talking about, or students even, maybe in the world of pediatrics, and just like your like I'd like to get your insight as a non-DC chiropractor, on what is going on through that world. Does that make any sense?
So, what have I seen coming from like doctors talking about taking care of kids?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The one thing I've heard ringing through like my head is if you don't take care of kids, you suck. Um, and not to say that that's like anything negative, but I think that people that are taking care of kids, I think they get more joy with practice. And whenever I went out and did a chiropractic screen event, I would go out there and ask one of the defining question is this appointment for you? Is it for the whole family? And when I saw a mom walk by, I would change my languaging to say, who's your family chiropractor? Instead of if I saw a single guy walk by, I would say, I'd go to the pain game. I'd say, what gives you more trouble, your neck or your back? So I learned the different ways to talk to somebody personally from a personal perspective of how to make an interaction with somebody. Moms are always interested in the family. Guys are interested in not having pain. So if you can make that connection, I think that knowing how to talk to each person with the proper type of language is definitely important. But as I talk to a lot of people, I think that having a family practice is really cool. But some people only want to take care of athletes. Some people only want to take care of pregos. Some people only want to take care of they want to niche down. Yeah. But I think that honestly, if we start taking care of all kids, then we're going to have a brighter future for chiropractic, because those are the people that are going to raise families that are going to get their kids under care. That's so right. I think the earlier that you start, and I'll tell people this story. Do you know why recycling is so popular in the household? Because they started in schools with kids. Oh. So the kids brought the recycling programs home, and now all families started to recycle. Wow. So if we follow the same paradigm of chiropractic with kids, then the full family will start chiropractic.
That's awesome.
So what Epic Pediatrics is doing and ICPA is doing, I think that if we can start with the younger generations, we can start to get more families involved with chiropractic. And if we follow the same type of thing with recycling, it just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to save planet Earth, Mother Earth? Well, why wouldn't you want to save the family unit as a healthy unit going forward? So I think, to answer your question, that's kind of my take on, children in chiropractic and how I would associate getting kids under care too.
Yeah. And I like that you said that about the kids bringing it first, because that's really what Epic Pediatrics is doing. As their mission is to get kids under chiropractic care first. And it's very focused on, not so much bringing the mom, and then after she's getting results, waiting a little bit, and then the kid comes in. It's like, no, we need to get to these kids right now. First things first is they need to be taken care of. So I love that you brought that perspective in.
Yeah. And, I think that, the most important thing to remember is that I always told people this. I worked in a chiropractic office for 5.5 years. I'd always say a family that gets adjusted together stays together.
Yeah.
And, one of the things as everybody left the clinic, I'd always tell everybody to have a chiropractic day. And those are just a couple little catchphrases that I like to say to people. And everybody would come in and poke fun at me and tell me as they were leaving, have a chiropractic day. So, I love the idea of connecting with people. And I think that chiropractic can be a very confused word. And I think that the lineage of the chiropractic profession has aided into the confusion because of the way that it was manipulated by the insurance game and the way that they allowed the chiropractic word to be pain-based. That's why men understand it from a pain-based perspective. But I think that the word chiropractic became very confusing over the years. And now we're taking the power back.
Yeah.
And we're making the word chiropractic mean health and wellness and human potential instead of aches and pains. So I think that the more that we keep those type of ideas going, that chiropractic helps with the evolution of humanity than helping with your headaches, neck pain, and back pain. I think that we're on a better course for the future of chiropractic. And, like you're interested in taking care of special needs, that population is not going to diminish any day soon. it's only going to become more of an at-risk group of people. So chiropractic can step in and become the leader in the medical profession for that group of people, just the same way as concussions. Chiropractic can come in and take the front lines and take care of that special group of people that are suffering with those type of symptoms. And chiropractic can also come in and take the front stage and take care of the opiate addiction. But we all have to come together more as a tribe and stop worrying about what the other one is doing or isn't doing. Right. And we have to support the profession for the word chiropractic. And then we need to start taking care of people and stop worrying about what the guy down the street is doing or what the school up the way is doing. And we need to start worrying about how to deliver care to the people that need the services. And nobody cares how you feel about chiropractor down the street. They care about how you're taking care of your community.
That's right.
That's my soapbox.
I love it.
And Dr. Tom says, wise advice, wise advocate, Jim Chester. So I just want to say thank you, Heather, for sharing your truth today and talking about your experiences of getting into the whole chiropractic world. And I think that you've offered a lot of information to people. And I think I just want to say thank you to the AMP group for having a place to hold Heather's hand throughout that early stage. And thank you to Tony Ebel with Epic Pediatrics. And thank you to ICPA for the group that you guys have and what you guys mean to the profession. And thank you, Heather, for getting out there and seeing all the cool stuff that you're doing. And I look forward to remaining in friendship with you as you develop your chiropractic career. If you ever have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you guys are all watching this now, just go ahead and put into the comments where you guys are coming in from. And if you guys watch us on replay, if you have questions for Heather or myself, reach out to us personally. And I always tell people be social on social, so we'll answer anything you guys have for us. And then I want to say thank you to Dr. Barbara Eaton once again with the 56-day chiropractic boot camp for making successful chiropractors in the business world of chiropractic. And Heather, just want to say love and appreciate you. I can't wait to see you at the next event.
Love and appreciate you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.